What did heartbreak look like before dating apps and dramatic phone calls? As it turns out, it was even weirder. Welcome to the history of heartbreak. We'll start with an ancient kings writing sad poems on stone and somehow end up with you crying over a Taylor Swift song. Let's start with the ancient Egyptians. Meet the scribe, Khagemni. He lived around 2000 BC and was a man who, like many of us, had a little trouble letting go. When his girlfriend, a woman named Ineni, decided to move on, Khagemni didn't just accept it. Oh no, he wrote her a breakup letter. And for a culture that had perfected the art of preserving dead bodies, this letter was preserved for eternity, which is kind of awkward for both of them. Now, you'd expect a romantic lament, right? Maybe a plea to come back? Not Khagemni. He opens his letter with a series of demands, telling her to stop making a fool of him, and that he feels her love is fading. He then makes the most dramatic threat of all time. He says, "If you do not change your mind, my heart will leave me and go to a foreign land." He's threatening to emotionally move to a different country just to get her attention. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. She just went on with her life, leaving Khagemni and his emotionally international heart behind. I didn't tell you that story just for fun. It's considered the first love letter in history, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Now we get to the truly absurd part. In ancient Greece, a man named Dionysios was dumped by his lover, Callista. Now most people would just go cry into their wine, but Dionysios was a man of action. He marched straight to a local sorceress to commission the pettiest, most over-the-top love curse in history. He didn't just want heartbreak for Callista. Oh no, he wanted the universe itself to bully her. He wanted her daily life to be a series of small, humiliating inconveniences. First, the curse demanded that every loaf of bread she baked would be burnt on one side and raw on the other. A perfectly baked loaf, always a symbol of a happy home, was forever out of her reach. Second, every donkey she tried to ride would immediately sit down and refuse to move. The donkey would sit on its haunches, not with defiance, but with a look of serene stubbornness as if it had found the one and only perfect spot on the road and would not be moved for anyone. And third, every time she tried to speak sweetly, a chorus of frogs would croak louder than her voice. The frogs weren't just loud. They would appear in the most unexpected places, from under her chair, behind a potted plant, or even from inside a pitcher of water, to ruin the moment. And most absurd of all, the curse demanded that her future lovers would all get hiccups that lasted for 3 days straight. The hiccups were so powerful they would shake the men to their very core, making any attempt at a romantic dinner sound like a broken metronome with a breathing problem. Of course, Callista didn't care. She moved on, married a fisherman, and apparently lived a totally normal life. Meanwhile, poor Dionysios probably choked on his wine, wondering why the frogs never showed up to ruin her dates. He was a man of action, but it turns out a woman's indifference is the greatest curse of all. In ancient China, it was a terrible tragedy to die unmarried. People believed that if a person passed away without a spouse, their spirit would become restless, heartbroken, and deeply, deeply lonely. And a lonely ghost is a very, very problematic ghost. The spirit would return to haunt its family, not with scary noises, but with pure, petty inconvenience. They'd make the rice taste like dirt. They'd hide the good chopsticks. You'd go to bed with a quilt on and wake up with a single, perfectly folded sheet. The kind of haunting that makes you want to haunt yourself. To solve this, families invented the ghost wedding. The idea was to marry their departed child to another dead person. The matchmaker would find a suitable ghost bride or ghost groom and hold a full wedding ceremony. The catch? The ghost had to be perfect. The family of the dead would have a ludicrously high checklist of requirements for the ghost spouse. Must have a respectable family, must have a good singing voice, must have a nice-looking skeleton. Sometimes, families would even buy a deceased person's corpse to be a spouse for their dead child. It was a macabre marketplace for the lonely. The whole ceremony would be so intense, families would hold a ghost reception where they'd have to eat a feast of imaginary food and toast with invisible wine to appease the spirits. But the most extreme and absurd version of all? When a ghost was particularly persistent, a living person was forced to marry them. Yes, a living, breathing person. This was considered a huge honor, a great sacrifice for the family. The living person was expected to be celibate and remain a widow for the rest of their days, eternally bound to a ghost. It was the ultimate cosmic version of getting friend-zoned. So, the next time your ex gets a new boyfriend and moves on, just be grateful you don't have to marry a ghost to get some peace. So, we've seen the world's first breakup letter, a man trying to sick frogs on his ex, and ghosts literally demanding a wedding. But trust me, we're just getting started. Because history has even weirder heartbreak stories. I'm talking about love potions made with bat blood, underwear that worked as magical protection, and spells so bizarre they make Dionysios' frog chorus look normal. That's in part 2, so hit subscribe or risk being cursed with 3 days of hiccups.